Students, good morning. Okay, so in the last class we had a discussion regarding to that oops concepts and object and class and data abstraction and encapsulation and polymorphism. Now, other than these concepts, there are few more concepts are remaining. Start to discuss those concepts. Okay, the next one, the most important one is inheritance. Okay, so from this concept, okay, so from this concept, you have orally 7 marks from this topic. Okay, one is for 2 marks question, and another one is from compulsory for 5 marks questions. Okay, so coming part of inheritance. See, inheritance is the way we regularly update ourselves. Okay, see the way the first class student updates it's not update his or her knowledge when when a student join for second class. Likewise, when for every class the student knowledge will get updated. Okay, the same way the same scenario when the program wants to suppose when the programmer wants to update that program, because every day the circumstances may vary, or when every day the requirements will change, the consumer requirements will be changed. So based on the consumer requirements, the program must have to enhance. Okay, for that enhancement, okay, the concept of inheritance was introduced. If you want to understand it clearly, okay, I'll give a best example for it. Okay, so initially the Android version of operating system was released with the 2.0 version. Okay, and the next level it was changed 3.0, and the next 4.0, 5.0, and now we are accessing the 9.0 Android. Okay, and why the Android company like Google company is updating that Android version? The reason is because of every day the user of the Android operating system, okay, the users of the Android operating system, the requirements are going to change every day. Okay, so and based on the requirements of the user of Android operating system, the Google company is completely going to enhance that version. So in the next level after Android 9.0, and the next 10.0 will get released shortly. Okay, and the same thing to perform such kind of enhancements or updations. Okay, then inheritance, the concept of inheritance will be accessed there for every time of enhancement. For every time of enhancement, the only concept will support for enhancement, that is inheritance. So now in the inheritance, so far you heard about, sorry, so far you heard about only the term class, but in inheritance there will be two classes. Minimum of two classes were required for to perform the inheritance topic. There are minimum of two classes will be required for to perform the inheritance. Now what are they? And they are base class, and the second one derived class. Base class and derived class. Now we'll go back to the definition of what is meant by inheritance. And the definition represents that the process of transferring the properties of one class to another class. The process of transferring the properties of one class to another class. Here it is. Just take an example, the process of transferring the properties from source class to destination class. Here it is, the source class. A source class is known as base class. Okay, so a source class or an existing class or an old class. Okay, there. And from there, we'll try to transfer the properties by using the inheritance. Okay, from base class to derived class, and that will be destination class. Where you want to transfer? See, when you are transferring the money from one account to another account, you must have to maintain a source account and the destination account number. Okay, when you don't have a source account, then you can't transfer the amount from destination amount to destination. Okay, same way, base class and derived class. So whatever the properties hold by the base class, those properties will get transferred to derived class, and that mechanism represents that inheritance. Okay, now coming point to that, the advantages of inheritance are very important for examination point of view. Okay, so and the advantages are, the first one, you must have to keep it in mind very carefully. One is reusability of code. Reusability of code. So the reusability of code represents that, suppose, and for example, okay, let us assume the base class consists some part of code. Okay, definitely the base class will hold the some part of code. Then in another level, if you want to create the same portion of code, then in that situation the programmer need not to create the same portion of program again. Okay, and instead of that, the programmer will reuse the same portion of code by accessing the base class. Are you able to catch my point? So whenever the programmer want to reuse that some portion of code from the existing class, then the programmer need not to create from the starting level. Okay, instead of creating the program from the starting level, the programmer can directly go for accessing the program of a base class, and that is possible only in the inheritance. So at that point represents that reusability of code. Then the next one, it eliminates the duplicate code. It eliminates the duplicate code. So where we can get that duplicate code? Okay, see, generally when the same properties are available in two classes, then the same properties, like the property, suppose if you take an example, the property, if property A is basically part of base class, then if the same property is also available in derived class, you can get a doubt, sir, if the property A is also available in derived class, is this mean to that will it duplicate it? No, it won't get duplicated. The property A is physically available in base class only, but virtually available in derived class. Okay, so the property A is basically, it belongs to base class. Okay, and physically available in base class only, and the same property virtually available in derived class. So when in case of virtuality, okay, the property is physically available in somewhere else, and the same property will access it in somewhere else, but using inheritance. So that is concept of, here it is, it eliminates the duplicate part of code. It doesn't allows the duplicate part of code. Okay, so that is it. And these are the two best advantages, and you will get these 2 points, okay, for 2 marks question. Remember carefully, these 2 points are very important for 2 marks question. The advantages of inheritance. Okay, there are so many advantages there, but for examination point of view, if you remember these two statements, and definitely straightly you will be able to score the 2 marks question. Okay, then in the next level, next level, base class. Base class is an existing class, an existing or old class. Base class is an existing class or an old class. Then a derived class is it is a new class. It is a new class. So then these two terminologies you must have to remember carefully. Then the next thing, and here it is, the inheritance mechanism. You can achieve the inheritance topic. I mean, you can enhance the an existing program. Okay, the capacity of an existing program you can enhance in 5 different levels. I mean to say, you can implement the inheritance in 5 different patterns. Okay, there are 5 mechanisms are there. You can implement inheritance. One is single level inheritance. Single level inheritance. The second one is multiple inheritance. The third one is multi-level inheritance, and the fourth one is hierarchical inheritance, and the next one is hybrid inheritance. So these are the 5 mechanisms. Okay, and these mechanisms we will discuss in the concerned chapter. Okay, just remember these are the 5 concepts of 5 mechanisms of inheritance. Okay, next. The next topic of after inheritance. Okay, so why this object oriented program is so powerful and so securable. And the thing is, the answer for this question is, okay, dynamic binding. Dynamic binding. Okay, so what is meant by dynamic binding? See, thing is, suppose if everyone knows the program, or whenever the user performs any transaction using an information technology devices, then if the user knows the program behind the transaction, it is meant that there will be no security. Am I right? Okay, so and to provide the security, basic aim of the object oriented program is to provide the security for the program's data. Okay, and to provide the security, okay, the first level itself, the concept of dynamic binding was introduced in the object oriented programming approach. Okay, so and to provide the security, what it does, it performs the program associated with the procedure call. The program associated with the procedure call is not known to the user. It is not known to the user until the runtime. Okay, so the program or the code associated with the procedure call is not known until the time of until the runtime of the procedure call, until the runtime. So here it is, you must have to understood the word code represents nothing but program and the data available in the program, and the procedure call, whenever you tries to execute that program. Okay, suppose let us assume the transaction like you all experience it with the ATM transactions. Okay, when doing that, doing a transaction with an ATM machine like a withdrawal. Okay, you just enter your PIN number and you just select the amount you want to withdraw, and just you click on the OK. Then immediately behind your transaction, the program will keep on going to run, and it gives the successful result. Okay, suppose if you know that program, then it will says that there is no security. You need not to perform that. You need not to save your money in a bank account. When there is no security, no one will shows interest to deposit the amount in a bank accounts. Yes. So that based on that point, okay. So the code part of the withdrawal procedure or withdrawal function, which is not known until the runtime. Okay, so no user can access that part of code that specifies that no user can able to access the part of code which is associated with the procedure call. Okay, so that is what of dynamic binding. Then the last one, last one message passing. No, the message passing is, see, it is so successful mechanism which we are receiving the benefit from the OOPS approach. The reason behind this is when I perform a transaction using an online banking transaction or an ATM machine or even some third-party applications like a Paytm, like a Phone Pay, like a Google Pay, or by using by performing the transaction physically in the bank organization, whatever it may be, for every transaction starting from the paisa to and infinity level. Okay, for every transaction report will be keep on distributed to all parties which are connected to that bank account. For example, okay, when I perform a transaction using an ATM machine, okay, that report will immediately deliver to your mobile number which is linked with the bank account. Okay, and the same information will be recorded in the server also. The same information will be recorded in the bank organization computer system also. I mean, the bank account, in the bank account also. And who is going to distribute? There is no physical, I mean, there is no human intervention behind to this, all the distribution activities. Then the distribution responsibility taken by the program itself, and that program, that concept of program will be known as message passing. Okay, so that is the role of a message passing. It just distributes the messages to the different number of objects. The role of a message passing is it is used to distribute the messages or distribute the content or whatever it may be. It just distributes the what it is message to different number of objects, and that is the role of the message passing. So, and by this I can conclude, I can conclude the all the concepts. Okay, so there are almost, okay, concepts of object oriented program is object, class, data abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and then inheritance, dynamic binding, and message passing. Okay, so the next thing. Now, applications of OOPS approach. Applications of OOPS approach. For every technology, suppose if a company recruits a new employee, then the company thinks about that employee. How come this employee can be applicable or can be usable in the company transactions, and what way he will be benefited for the company in a such a way. When a new technology is released, then in what way it will implementable, wherever we can, wherever we can implement that oops approach, and such a way that concept is known as applications of oops. So, and the applications of oops is very important for 5 marks questions from this chapter. Applications of oops are very important for 5 marks question. Then the first one, object oriented databases. Object oriented databases, you mean to understand that the, the database creation itself is possible. The database software, the database management system software itself, it is only by applying the oops approach. Then CAD CAM softwares. So the OOPS approach also usable to develop the CAD and CAM kind of softwares. Then AI, the most important thing in nowadays. So AI stands for artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. Then decision making systems. Decision making systems. The next one, hypertext. The next one, parallel computing. So these are the few applications of object oriented programming approach. Okay, so be careful while practicing the applications of oops. Okay, and this will be very important for 5 marks question. Okay, so by this I'm just stopping the session. Okay, so in the next class we'll discuss the differences between the procedure oriented programming approach and the object oriented programming